Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Peaceful Nick and Coach Willett, the anti-bro podcast man. Tonight, we're going to talk about Beyond the Ego, real conversations without the bro noise. And by that, I mean the bro podcasters who kind of indoctrinate young men in this country. And we need a positive male voice that's a masculine male that also believes in kindness and love, but also masculinity. So, welcome back, Coach Willett. How are you?
It's great to be here. First thing I got to ask is, how's my hair?
Your hair looks great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
There was
I
an
spent a lot of
incident.
time on it and put in a lot of effort to look this way. But it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. And we don't have to talk about the incident with your hair if you don't want, but by all means, if you want to share.
No. I'll tell it.
Okay, perfect.
So I cut my own hair. I do it myself. So I have no fingers to point at anyone. If there's a mistake, it's me. And I do a pretty good job around this way. And then on this particular time, I was letting the top grow. And this particular time, I was going to just trim the edge, except I went up about like that. And I looked at it and I spent several minutes trying to think, I think I can get by with that. Nobody will notice.
Nobody will notice.
But every time I kept turning and looking, it was very nuts. So I'm like, you know what? Hey, you point the finger. You got to take it all the way down for now, and then it'll grow back soon. So
I love it. And we'll go back to that pointing the finger in a little while because that's an important point.
Yeah.
No pun intended. One of the most common questions I get as a medium is going from being a scientist into being a medium is, how did your husband react? I've gotten that question hundreds of times. So please, for the audience's, pleasure, tell them what you thought when all of a sudden I started talking to dead people.
Well, I had a lot of reactions, a lot of different of variations of reactions. My first one was great. I cannot argue with an experience or something that somebody's doing. And I'm not going to judge people on what they truly believe in, especially in themselves. I would encourage people to believe in themselves. How many stories, I've heard of people being told, you'll never get out of that wheelchair and walk. You'll never be able to play this. You won't be able to do that. Kevin Hart was told early on in his comedy career, just quit, go get another job. You're never, and this was by a known dude in the comedy world, just quit. It's not going to work out. Mm-hmm. And then look what happened. You see all these, the guy gets out of the wheelchair and walks, and we call them miracles. And I think that's just another phrase for believe in yourself. And so why would I question that in anyone? I don't, if that's what you're telling me that you're doing, or you believe in, or you do, then okay, I can't argue that. How can I argue that? Now, another one I got after that is when I started getting presented evidence and seeing it over and over and over again of the evidence that you would provide people. And I still get a little chills when I hear it. And then it's gotten to the point where it's an expectation. So I think it's funny when my beautiful wife, the medium, comes after a reading and says, that was pretty good. I was amazed at what I'm like. Why are you amazed? You've been doing this for years. Or you should.
It's shocking,
but it's humility too, and that's the way you should be. But I just think I hear it so much, and I've had the experience of it, and not just from you, but from other people when I've helped you out from time to time, where they've touched on evidence that's like, there is absolutely no way this person could have known that. There's no way. And so to let's be a good person, and just if people somebody believes in themselves, why don't you believe in them too? What's that going to hurt? Are you what? That's okay. It's okay if we believe in each other, and yeah, those are so now I'm to the point where I'm just like, yeah, you're good. I know.
I appreciate that. I will tell a story. I want to add to what you said. When people believe in themselves, why shouldn't you believe in them too? And that brings me to, there were a couple of people in my life, in my perimeter, not close family, perimeter family, who had said, I don't believe in that. And my response is, do you believe in me? You've known me, so I think people, instead of judging from your perspective and your belief system in your closed little world that you may live in, maybe broaden your horizons a little and think about, is this person trustworthy? Does this person have good morals and ethics? Is this a person that is quote unquote normal most of the time? you know
What is normal?
um, because it was, yeah, right. And I always say that normal people are the scariest ones. It's the weirdos that are the most honest, right? Because they're being
Yeah.
them true selves. You and
I
I have had
tell
that
everyone,
conversation.
I tell my kids, I was like, my wife is a weirdo and a nerd. And they look at me like, Coach, what? I go, no, that's a compliment. Don't, it's cool. We're all weird. We all
Yep.
have our own little unique way. And that's what weird means to me. It's uniqueness. And our unique value is unbelievably high. We make the mistake of getting into social media stuff and reading catalogs and seeing, oh, if you're not this or that. And no, I'm me. There's very few like me, if any. And that's the way it is for each of us. There's very few like you out there, probably none.
Mm-hmm.
So find value in that, see value in that, appreciate the value in that. That's a great gift.
I love that point, that everyone is their own unique self, and if we embrace that more, and it leads right into this conversation we're having tonight. The ego. People live in their ego, right? And they're so judgmental of everything. Now, you and I have had many conversations about this. Everybody's judgmental. You and I are not immune from being judgmental from time to time. I am working on it. I know you are working on it. And it's something that's important for people to be aware of. Notice something, but when you notice that you're judging it, pause and maybe reflect on, why am I judging that? Because that's all from the ego, because I'm judging that because it triggers something in me, right? Something about whatever the situation is. Like, you have a green shirt. Maybe I don't like green shirts. And I'm thinking, why does Coach Willett have a green shirt on? That's ridiculous. Why would he wear that color? Well, why first of all, why does it bother me? I need to look at me and not at you. And so, and that's a huge part of the ego. So, I just want to give a little definition of what ego is before we go into this, for those people who may not fully grasp the concept. It doesn't just mean someone's conceited. And if anybody's read any of Eckhart Tolle's books, it's clearly defined in there. But ego is something that was built to protect us evolutionarily, but in modern society, it can be very detrimental. Um, it can help us survive and run from a lion to self-preserve ourselves. But in modern society, we live in houses now, and so our ego has shifted into something else where um, it's all about me, me, me. And one of the things I learned in my reading of Eckhart Tolle was, complaining is part of being egotistical, because you're taking the attention away from whatever the situation is and making it about you. And my favorite thing in the world is to complain. And that really shocked me, that that's part of the ego. I had no idea. So, but there's a million other parts of the ego, right? There's a million other parts. So how would you define ego?
ego is the very thing you love about yourself and the very thing you hate about yourself. It's what drives people. Like there's a coworker, and all of us, we have a coworker.
Right.
We love that coworker, but we also have a problem with that coworker. The very thing we love about them is the thing we hate about them. And it can be, they're very direct and brass and just will say whatever to anybody. We love that. That's cool. As long as they're talking to somebody else, right?
Right. Yeah,
But if you're talking to me, hey, whoa, you don't talk to me like that, so then it comes like that. And it's an honest. So like, I think the ego starts with how we view ourselves. And then that's where you got to be careful, because we just talked about take joy and pride in yourself. All of our wacky weirdos out there is wonderful, but do we take it too far? And now we hold ourselves in such high regard that how dare you look at me? I'm me, right? That. So now we may even start judging ourselves in a very harsh. I do that. I am so hard on myself. I've said some pretty harsh things to people, but I've never said anything to anyone harder than I've said to myself, or meaner than I've said to myself. And I know that more now, which helps. Like, hey, ease up, man. You're not all that bad. You made a mistake. You did this and that. And let's fix it. Let's improve on this. So ego is such a double-edged sword. Being in the sports world, I look at a lot of professional athletes, and a lot of those all of those professional athletes have an enormous ego, from the coaches to the players to anyone around the teams. It's hard not to, because when you just walk out into an arena, a stadium, a ball field, big basketball arena, whatever, everybody's looking at you. And depending on the stage of it, there's TVs, cameras looking at you. You know this. There's no, oh, they're televising this today? I didn't know.
Right. It's not a surprise.
Everybody,
it's not a surprise.
Cool. So they know, and it's tough, because they have to still maintain a level of ego, both in the positive and in the negative. You can't go too, because there's always people wanting you to trip up. There's always people wanting you to fail. There's always people throwing sticks out in front of your skateboard. That's just those people are out there. But you know what? We also need to view those people like those people that doubted you. You need to view those people. That's an asset. Like the person that told Kevin Hart, you should quit. That made him a little better. That made him focus a little more and work a little harder and keep going. That made him a better person. That made you a better person. All these things are good things. I love Jocko Willink always says, no matter what happens, good should always be your response. No matter what. Hot water ran out while I was in the shower. The water was cold. Good. Guess what I did? I had to shower a lot quicker. So I got ready a lot faster. Things of that nature. What's the problem? It's not a problem. It's an opportunity to improve. Ego is the result of that. How are you improving? If I'm just acting like I'm just the best and this and that, there's always somebody better. Where my father taught me that. There's always somebody better.
That is such a good point.
You need to keep an eye on your ego at all times. There's no rest there. And I think I do a really good job at that. However, I struggle a lot. I went somewhere over the weekend. I was walking around and I'm just ripping everybody in my head. I'm judging and like, oh, I'm not like that. Look at that. I'm way, but and then you catch yourself like, boy, if I was measuring this right here, I'd be pretty low on the stick. I'm pretty sad right now. Let's give this a little tune up and get it going in a different direction, which is a beautiful thing. You might take the wrong exit, but just get back on the road. You'll be all right and keep going. And that's life. But ego is enormous. You have to keep an eye on that all the time
Right.
in everything you're doing. You can't just, because you will wander off. Your mind, it's itself, it's that what the guy said, it's the vulture on the bedpost. And as soon
Mhm.
as you wake up in the morning, it says, "Oh, hey, glad you're awake. Got a
Right.
few things I want to discuss with you." And those things can be like, there's times you and I talk about a lot. I wake up and I'm just in the worst, foul, negative mood. I don't know why. Thank God I recognize it more now, and I can say, okay, all right, let's start getting out of this, because I don't want to go through the day like this. And then some days you wake up, I wake up and I'm like, man, I look good in that shirt. This and that, we do that. And then some days I can have the same shirt on. I look at it and go, oh, no, we can't do that. What is that? That's right here. That's
That's
it's
ego, right.
talking to us, and that will fluctuate your ego in different directions. So you've got to be mindful of that, in my opinion, not to go too far in either direction.
I have a few questions about what we've been talking about. I've written them down so I don't forget, because sometimes I forget. One of the things you were talking about is when we went somewhere the other day and we were walking around, and you said you noticed yourself judging people, right?
Mhm.
And the beauty of that is, now people who are watching this may judge this conversation, and that's okay. And they
Good.
probably will. Yeah, they probably will. But the beauty of the fact that you noticed it,
Mhm.
that's where lives start to change. When people start to notice their behavior um, is not what they want it to be, your life will start to change. And this goes for everybody. Like, you're taking a self inventory of the judgment you had on other people, and you're noticing it and observing it. That is the perfect launching point for your life becoming more beautiful. So, for anybody watching, start noticing your thoughts, start observing your thoughts, and don't judge your thoughts. And that's another thing you talked about, self judgment. And we talked the other day. I told you, you said you woke up in the morning and you had a, negative self talk. And I tell people all the time, as soon as you wake up, don't look at your phone. Say 5 positive things. Don't even get out of bed. Don't roll over. Just say 5 positive things you're grateful for every single morning. And I do that, and it has changed my perspective most days. We're living in quite tumultuous times right now, and so it's really important that we try little things to make our days better and not make our minds negative talk worse. And that brings me to the other point. You talked about some days you wake up and you have a lot of bad thoughts in your head. And now you notice it. But in the past, you may not have realized that. And I want to ask you, would that negative self talk in the morning change the course of your day? Would you allow it to make your day bad, or you would just like blow it off and be like, whatever?
It would destroy my day. I would be, because it would stay. It would
Mm,
stay there because I didn't do anything about it. The key thing there, and you talked about it, is awareness. My meditation each day is he constantly pounds into my head awareness. So like when I'm meditating, I get, like I said, I'm hard on myself. So like and I did this when I was in school and studying and everything. I wander off.
mhm.
Um, and so like when I'm meditating, I'd be studying for an exam, and then I'd catch myself staring at the ceiling with slobber coming. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You got to study. I don't even know how much time has passed. It's like 10 minutes or something, like just thinking about something else. But my meditation, he lets me know that, you know, when we're breathing and we're doing that, sometimes we wander. Other thoughts pop through our head, like this scroll on the bottom of the screen right here.
Mhm.
That's our head. And the thoughts go through that. We're not responsible for those. That's not who you are. It's not what you conjured up. It's not what you're the author of. That's just rolling through your head. And it's good to acknowledge it. So I'm having bad thoughts. I'm like, whoa, okay. Not off to the best start today. I see you. See what you're doing. I'm going to let you go now. Okay. I'll see you later. Let it go. What am I doing? Now I'm in the moment. Now I'm
Yeah.
aware. I'm aware of what I just saw. I'm aware of what it is. And I'm aware of where I'm going into a new moment. So now I'm in this moment. I'm drying off in the shower. That's all I need to worry about right now.
I tell
I'm,
people that all the time.
yeah, I'm getting dressed. I am putting my shoes on. Notice a lot of times, if you really think about it, when we make little mistakes and like put the milk in the cabinet or put the ice cream in the garage, so it's because we're not in the moment.
Right.
We are so far gone from the moment that we do stuff like that. And then what do? We start worrying about ourselves, or we're mad at
Yeah.
ourselves, or we're so like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's just because you weren't in the moment. You weren't aware of what you're doing right now. Now let's get back where we are. Athletes talk about this all the time. Listen to coaches, I need you to think to play one play at a time, do your job. What's your job? Great receiver one year said, he was asked preseason, hey, what are your goals for the year? Well, I want so many yards catching the
Mm.
ball. I want so many touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. And they asked his coach, the GOAT, Nick Saban, what he's got all these goals out of it. That's pretty good. What do you think about it? What are goals you might have for him? He goes, I just want him to perform and be the best he can on the first play of the season.
Wow.
And we'll go from there. That's all you see. A lot of your great winningest organizations will say one thing: do your job. Well, to do your job, you have to be present and aware and in this moment. If
Mm-hmm.
not, you won't do it to the best of your ability, and that will hurt your process of creating value for yourself. And in life, it's everything. How many things do you think we've missed? I shudder to think about this. How many things do you think we've missed that could have been overwhelmingly life-changing because we weren't in the moment?
Oh, many, I'm sure. But I want to speak to that. I want to address that real quick before somebody listening to this thinks they're going to live in regret. And I'll tell you what the universe and spirit and God, or whatever people out there listening believe in. Um, the universe conspires to get us back on track, right? Like before we met, you had an opportunity to have a different life than you have now, right?
Mhm.
And that didn't happen. And then we met, and now you have this life. Now, that's the universe saying that first life you thought you were going to have wasn't meant to be, because that would not have turned out well in the state of mind you were in, right? The universe brings us back to where we're supposed to be, regardless of how um, crazy things may seem, or how horrific. Like, I tell the story all the time. My mom died at my feet when I was 15 years old. It changed the course of my life. Do I mourn that? Yes, in a way, but it also made my life better than I ever could have imagined it being. Because of her death, my life, I had to move somewhere else, and I had more opportunities to become the person I am now. So I don't want anybody out there beating themselves up if they're making mistakes and thinking they missed an opportunity, because if it's meant for you, it will come back around. It always does. As long as I say, set your intention, do the work, and allow yourself to receive the gift, whatever that may be. I want to ask a couple more questions. Confidence versus ego. You deal with a lot of athletes and um, coaching things. And there is a difference, I know, and I know you're going to tell me all about it, between confidence and ego, and how that affects people in different positions in athleticism and in your professional life. How can you, as a human man, tell the difference between somebody who's very confident and self-assured, and somebody who is working through their ego?
So that, yeah, there's a lot of, I've had a privilege to be around some really great athletes, and some go to a very high level, some go to the highest level. And I've seen how they being around them and see how they run. Some are, and non other coaches too, that were just coaches that reached the height of their profession. And you can't get any higher, winning big championships. And they remained great people. And that was inspiration for me. It's like, oh, okay, now that's an example right there. That's really cool. And then I've seen some athletes do the same thing and remain the same and be humble and well grounded. And then I've seen others just become not great people because they're whatever. And all these things are ego. And so some, like we talked about, some have kept an eye on it, some haven't. But again, that ego is that thing that we love the most, but it's the thing we can hate the most too.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player of all time. Just, this and that. And everybody
Debate in the comments below, everybody. Debate in the comments below. Is it Jordan? Is it Kobe?
Jordan or LeBron is the one I hear the most.
LeBron.
I'm sorry.
Or Steph
Jordan.
Curry. Whoever.
But,
debate in the comments.
Everybody loves Jordan. He won championships and he's got great messages and he did great with Nike and he's made, several train car loads of money and that's great. But then they'll talk about he was so competitive and he had this and that and he got into it with some guys and then this and that and he would gamble a lot on the golf course. He blah, blah, da, da, da. He would do all this. Well, that's ego. That's ego. So which one do we lie? He gambled a lot. Are we telling kids to go out and gamble now? No. Are we telling kids to come to a violent confrontation with a teammate because we're competitive? No. But he did those things. So those are things we don't like. It's like but sometimes those things happen. So like you just talked about, don't regret. He's still a human being and he still slides and slips, and that's okay. But the reason he's where he is because he has an enormous ego and a very highly competitive nature. And that enormous ego also made him successful, but it also hangs on some negatives to that as well, which it's okay. It's, Kobe Bryant, same way, Tiger Woods, same way, Nick Saban, same way, Bill Belichick, all these different, anybody in life, if you've made it to a high level, it's because of ego. If you've made it to a low level, it might be because of ego too. And really, no matter where you are, your ego has a hand in that. So don't be mindful of it. Don't let it get you thinking I'm better than these people or I'm less than these people. See, that's neither one of those are good. It's like we're people, period. End of story. My dad taught me titles don't mean a thing. We're human beings. And he not only taught me that, he showed me that. When he would go sit and visit with people who didn't have his title in his job, and they would come to his office and sit down and just chit chat. And that was a great example for me to see that. And remember that we're all in this together. We're all working together. That's part of ego too. Ego touches everything. Yes. Everything that we're about is ego. I like this drink over that drink. Well, it makes you special, doesn't it?
Right.
All this stuff. So you don't want to look at ego. Ego's horrible. No, it's not. It's not the best thing in the world either. But if we handle it properly, then we can do really great things, Like the girl on the street, that's where ego Like the girl in San Francisco that walked up with the sandwich and said, "Can I have a bite?" And I gave her half my sandwich. Now, too much of an ego would have been like, I'm hungry, and get your own sandwich. Why are you asking for mine? Um, Too little of an ego. I'd have given her the whole thing. No, I am hungry. Obviously, I have a sandwich. Um, so in between is I can give her some and I can still eat too. So we all eat. And that's kind of a theme in life. Why don't we all eat? Not
Yes.
just some of us, not just a couple, or not like that show a long time ago. One of the hunters came back to the tribe and said, "You know what? I should get more because I killed this. I found it
Right.
and killed it." Instead of no, we share all even. We all eat because when we
Mhm.
all eat, then we all improve,
Right.
and that's crazy important.
That's an excellent point. Um, and that brings us into our modern society. There's so much greed, which is directly a result of ego, that it's destroying our modern society. To me, I always tell people if children learn how to meditate and how to be properly loved from the get go, the world would change in a generation or two.
You know, I want to share this because this actually happened today, and well, it happened today and it happened a couple of days ago too. I spoke with two of my classes about an active shooter on campus and being proactive in the sense that um, you're why we're here, and so because we take on that responsibility, it is our responsibility to take care of you and make sure you're in a good place. So we're going to talk about this. And so we went through this whole thing. We had a plan, got a plan on what to do, gave them some jobs. They're volunteering for it. Went through the whole thing. It was great. They were asking questions. They were, hey, what about this? One little girl raised her and she's like, listen, I'm a little concerned if this were and that, what if this was like that? And I'm like, wow, I hadn't thought about
Mhm,
that. Thank you. We're
mhm.
going to work on that.
Right.
Excuse me. But the biggest thing was when I started talking about this, everyone in the room went silent
Mm.
and they were listening. And what do you hear most people say today? Coaches, teachers, bosses, like people aren't listening. Parents, kids aren't listening. Nobody's listening to me. Maybe you're not saying anything worthwhile. Maybe you should say something
Mm.
more worthwhile. And they
Mhm.
will listen. Because when I talk to these kids about some things, they won't shut up. They're blabbing and looking around. They're not listening. No. But when I talk to them about some of these things, it's like all eyes are on me. Nobody's talking. Nobody's glancing at a phone or looking over here, poking Timmy in the head. Uh, They're just, and they're dialed in.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
like, wow, do
Well,
your job. That there it is.
exactly. What's happening is in schools, which, I have many years experience as well as you in traditional schools, the kids are bored. Society's moving 1,000 times faster than the schools are moving. But what you do, and you've always done in the 20 years or so you've been coaching and teaching, is you build a connection and a rapport with students. You get to know your students, and they know you care about them. You build trust, and we talked about this last week. You build trust with them, and then they feel like, oh, I can trust this guy. He'll protect us if there's an active shooter. He'll guide us. He'll make us safe. And not just in that scenario, but in all scenarios. And you talked extensively about this last week in our talk. And I've been telling many people over the last few weeks, our society needs to build connection, not just in schools, not just in on sports teams. Our whole society is we're disassociating and fragmenting from each other, and we need to build connection and understanding and promote more compassion. And I know that might sound woo woo up in the clouds. Oh, that's a fantasy. That's never going to happen. Well, we need to evolve or we're going to die. Like literally, not figuratively. Our society can't sustain the terror and anger that's happening. And I, for one, don't want to see our grandchildren grow up in the state of the world that it's in. Um, I don't want to live in that world. I don't want our children to live in that world. And and literally, we must change now, or we are not going to succeed as a society worldwide. Not just our country, which has its own problems, but it goes out through the whole world. So if you could um, talk about how the men of our society that are, I feel personally being indoctrinated by podcasters that are misogynist and much like patriarchy guys. It's all about we hate women, those type of podcasts. If you could speak to them and say, and I know you don't listen to any of them, so I don't know,
Yeah. What know what
but
to say. No.
pretend that you can talk to all of them and tell them, maybe something their message needs to shift or change, or what is it about their ego that is causing them to act this way. Like, just speak to that whole subject about these men who are inspiring young men to be so angry, and how can we change that overall. I don't even know if that makes sense, that question, but I think you know what I'm getting at.
I think we not only inspire, but we get inspired, and we have that choice. I don't know what a lot of these people say. I guess I've heard some, but I'm glad they're there, and I'm glad they're talking. I'm glad they're doing whatever it is they're doing. That's an opportunity. Remember when I say good, it's an opportunity for me to improve. So it's an opportunity. See, I'm not going to allow someone else to tell me how I should think or feel. I need to determine that on my own, by my own investigation, by my own research, my own experiences. And will I be wrong sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. But if I'm still looking to improve, I will find that error, and then I will correct it and move in the right direction. And that will be a good example to stay on the road to improvement. We're never going to arrive. We're never going to cross the finish line like that. We're always going to be working towards becoming better people. Not everybody starts out great. Not everybody has those great moments in life. Some people are doing things because they make a lot of money from it, or some people are doing and saying things because it gets people's attention. It feeds their ego.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, good for them. But see, I'm not going to give, and this is very important for me, and I try to get this out to as many people as possible. Individually, you possess an enormous amount of power.
Mm-hmm.
Enormous amount of power. What I see out of human beings is we give it away constantly.
Yes.
We just give that power away. That guy or that girl said something on that show or that podcast or whatever, or it read this part in this book, or I saw this in this movie, or did so, and I start getting upset, or I start thinking like, no, wait, I don't have to carry that bag with me. I don't have to take that's what they think or what they're saying. First of all, I don't even know that person. I don't know what they're trying to do. So I'm not going to give them power over me to eat up space in here. I got enough problems in here that I'm trying to calm down and work on and stay aware of the webs that are being spun up here. So I need to really focus on that. If some Joe podcast over here is saying so, oh, okay, great. Good for you. It's up to me whether I take that and use it as, oh, that's what I want to be like. Okay, that's your choice. But see, there's your choice again.
Right.
We have all this power. To break it down real simple, I have the power of freedom. I'm lucky. I'm born in a free country. Um, and I can worship how I want, I can work how I want, I can live how I want. I have all these free decisions I can make. So why would I give any of that away? But I think today I'm going to go rob a bank.
Right.
And when you do that, you're going to give all of those things away.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to put me in a room. So why would you do that? But people are allowed to make those decisions. And see, we're allowed to make the decisions too. I'm allowed to make the decisions whether I want to listen to you or not. Or
Mm-hmm.
should I just maybe investigate around? Is what they're saying accurate? Is this true? Or am I just going to take their word face value? Well, he said it, she said it, so it's true. Oh yeah. No, look into it. Do your own research, find out we're older now. So a lot of things I hear, I've probably had some experience with. If I haven't, I'm gonna go research. I'm gonna look into like, oh, what is this? How does this work? Because it's better to know what you're talking about when you're trying to get through this ego thing. Once you realize that, well, because these sports shows on TV these guys get on there and argue, and somebody would have an opinion, the other guy would have opinion, and one of the opinions would be just the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
On purpose, of course.
And that's my point. They would do this. I heard people behind the scenes like, yeah, well, here's why they do that.
Right.
It's entertainment.
And they
So
do it on the
both,
news. They do that on the news too,
yeah,
which is sad.
they both had the same view, but one of them has to be different. So they flip a coin like, well, you got it now. You have to say stupid stuff and then argue about it and yell and scream at each other because people will watch us more and we
Right.
can create more better ratings. So it's like, so I don't know any people that are doing stuff like that. That's their thing. To the people that are being influenced, that's on you. You're allowing yourself to be manipulated and twist and turn, or you're seeing an avenue of where, oh, this is okay because I already kind of believe this. I'm just going to go out here and I can say and do the things I want to do because he said it too. So now I got a buddy who's doing it too. Yeah, but you don't know that person. You don't
Right.
know what they really is behind why they're saying what they're saying. But now
Right.
you have decided to unleash yourself, who you really are, which is good because now everybody else is going to see it too.
Right.
And when they do that, now they're going to see who you really are, which is great. I want to see who people really are. And because that teaches you how to treat them. You know
It's
who they
funny.
are.
You answered my next question before I asked it.
I talk too much.
No, 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 no. It was good because I was going to say, what would you say to vulnerable young men who are listening to these podcasts? But you already answered that. It's like it's your choice and you're revealing who you are. I would just add to that. These young men are vulnerable. There's kind of like this lost section of society between 30-year-old men and younger that are just looking to build community, and they don't have a place because young women are by far getting college degrees at a higher rate than young men. Young men are more underemployed and staying and living at home longer. And that there's a lot of reasons for all of these things. I'm not just saying it's a bro podcast fault. It's a perfect storm of many things in our society that are all happening simultaneously, and these lost young men who feel like they're lonely, they don't have a partner in their life, they don't have good job prospects, their family may suck, whatever it is. And then they hear these other guys that are like them on these podcasts, and they're like, oh my god, that guy will like me, and I can chat in the chat with all the other guys that feel the same way, and then they just build on each other, and it's creating some problems in our society to have these young men that seem lost when they have value to add to our society, and they don't see that they have value. And it's not just chatting, uh, being an armchair warrior, chatting on a podcast. And I want to know if you could talk to all the men from, the age 12 to 30 in our country, and tell them there's another way, what would you say to them?
Well, first, I want to share this because this was a very eye opener for me. Because a lot of people think you can just, there's this way and it was written down and this is the man way and you be a good dude and blah 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 blah. Blah. I was working with a young man, very young man. I got to be careful where it was. Okay, I was working with this young man at a job. I had a special forces guy explain something to me like that. It was so funny. Anyway, another story, another day. I was working with this young man. This kid, he loved Spider-Man, all the the superheroes and all that stuff, and he was this and that and blah blah blah. And as I was working with, we got to know each other. So we get to know each other, and he was not. I think he was from El Salvador or somewhere in South America, but he had just moved across the country from LA, and he was. I guess he trusted me enough after a couple of weeks that he told me he came there because there was a bounty on his head, and that he had been in a gang, and that he was trying to follow the order or the rules of the gang, and there was a hit put out on another kid, and this is when he was in 8th grade, freshman year, maybe sophomore year, and but they carried out the act. They were just to beat this kid up real bad, and so they did, but it was the wrong kid, and it was a kid from all this gang stuff. Rival gang, upper echelon guy was his nephew, so it was a bad deal. So they put a takeout on his life, and he was 16 years old, and so we're having this conversation, and me being, I'm cool, dude. Look here, I'm gonna spread some real man stuff on you. I'm like, well, why were you in a gang? And he goes, I didn't have a choice. I go, everybody has a choice. Everybody. And then he explained to me the choice that he had been given. And it was when he was about 9 years old. He was on a playground, and some older guys came up to him armed and said, we need you to do some stuff. You're going to join our gang. If not, we'll kill you and your family. Now, that's at 9 years old. Okay. This may sound suspect to people, but it was a little suspect to me as I'm hearing all of this. But some things happened later on that kind of opened my eyes to it. And you see what's real is real. But this kid had get into the gang. They drove into a rival neighborhood, and he was given a gun, and they pulled up into this alley, and they asked the kid, you walk down to those 3 people, and we want you to shoot the one in the middle. He's 9 years old. He walks down there. It makes me sad. It's like, that's a 9-year-old. Like, what were you doing at 9 years old? I was going swimming. I was
playing with your Star Wars characters,
playing with Star Wars toys and doing all this stuff. This kid is in the back of some car being handed a weapon to take someone's life. And so he walks down the street, and he looks at these guys. They look at him, and he shoots the one in the middle and kills him. And I said, well, it's just, I'm like, why would they want you to shoot? He's just, I was a little kid. These guys wouldn't suspect me.
Right.
He's like, these guys are smart. So he had to live through all of this, and now he's 18 and he's living. But see, here's what you don't see, and you have to know, because I've been around guys like this before. There's a certain, like, you see a young man a kid who's talking about Spider-Man and Superman and Batman, and he's got that look in his eye when he opens a comic book. He's like, "Hey, man, that new movie's coming out," and you see that fun-loving kid look in their eyes, like Christmas Eve, yes, Santa's coming, all that stuff, and then all of a sudden you see this whole persona, this whole aura turn just black as coal and cold and lifeless almost, into speaking about these things very robotically, and how he's hiding out because he's afraid he's with his grandma. I'm like, and I worked another few weeks with him, and then I left that job, summer job, and then it's funny, you actually met this kid, and I don't know if I ever told you, but we were at a movie theater, and we were waiting to get tickets, and a kid behind me was like, "Hey, Doug," and I turned around and it was him.
Mm.
And I was like, whoa. And I was like, "Hey, man," I gave him a hug and was like, "How you doing?" And we was there to see a movie, to see who he was. But so do we have choices? Maybe. Sometimes. Most of the time, yeah, they're there. What does a 9-year-old say? These kids, these guys saying stuff, I can address that as one thing. A real man is not what's being taught out there, from what I've seen, how these kids act. A real man, he looks at, I used to tell my team this, look, these are the kind of people we are. Okay. We're going to help the little old lady across the street. We're going to feed the hungry. We're going to shelter the homeless. When we see our women, we will protect them. We will honor them, and they will know that when we're around, they're safe. When they come in a room, they're safe there because we're there. But then when we step out here, we might be a little nasty on the field, on the court. You can be rough and stuff. Sometimes we need to be rough if it's warranted. Martial arts teaches this perfectly. It's a discipline in oneself that I love watching. I watch some videos sometimes of these MMA guys who are extremely dangerous people. They know how to hurt people, but they'll be in public and somebody will mess with them and they're just really cool. They don't panic. They don't get anxiety or stressed because they know if it comes down to it, you're going to have a problem. And it's one you don't want to fool with. It's not one you want to fool with. So that's kind of the way you need to behave, in my opinion. I think that, we're telling, you tell a little kid, hey, little Johnny, how many girlfriends you got? I remember hearing that growing up. I'm like, well, I mean, what are we baptizing him with here?
Right.
And be careful as an adult. And this goes for anybody saying stuff. Be careful what you say.
Right.
Do you have a responsibility to your fellow man? I mean, if you're going to tell boys to do weird, wild stuff and take advantage of women, and then you have a daughter, how can you get mad if a little boy or a boy treats her in a negative way? See, that's you've been teaching that, man. What are you doing? Were you that way? So you can't. How you speak out to people and how you act is not mandatory for others to take and be inspired by. But it is out there. And so you're putting it out there as, this is what I believe in. This is how I function. This is how I believe. So like, there was a great Robert Duvall movie. He made a lot of comments. Some young kids were messing around and in the movie and giving him a hard time, going to take his food. And they didn't realize that he was a veteran of foreign wars and had killed many men in battle and had loved one woman for over 35 years. And he was loyal to God and all these things while he was pounding on these kids. It's like, you got to learn a lesson, young men. And all the stuff he said, I can't remember it exactly, but it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. If you want to find someone to spend your life with, take your time. Find that person. they will be revealed to you. Just do the research. You'll love doing that. Um, there's nothing wrong with being. You ever just go help someone? I'm going to help that person out. Oh, you drop that. I'll pick it up. Oh, you needed to, here, take my jack. Do you need a lift over? Yeah. Can I get that for you? Here's half my sandwich. When we do those things, it's just, you get a sense of, you'll know I did the right thing. You don't need to tell anybody. You don't
Right.
need to ask somebody, hey, can you pat me on the back? That's one thing my dad said to me today. If you can't pat yourself on the back, it won't do you any good if anybody else to do it. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You
Yeah.
need to know that you did a good job. And we also know when we don't do a good job. So if you're out there spreading stuff that's negative or not really who you are, which I think we're all good people. I think we are all good people. I think society has gotten the best of some of us and it's turned us a little dark, and therefore we do some negative stuff. But I think to the core, we are all very good, loving people. Just my belief, we're made in the image of God. I kind of take that stance as, well, God is great and he's loving and he's caring. We all are. Problem is, we've been hurt. We've been mistreated.
Yes.
We've been taught wrong. We've been shown wrong. I
Yes.
always use the example, if a kid grows up seeing dad smack mom all the time, and then he goes out and gets a girlfriend and he smacks her, to him, it's normal. We
Right.
want to destroy this kid, which he does need some tender, loving care. That means a lot more. But to him, that's normal. He doesn't know that's what he's seen. That's
Right.
what he was taught.
Right.
So whether you be careful what you're saying to people out there, because
Especially your children.
your children, they're gonna do what you do more than what you say. I've seen that. I was told that when we were young parents, and now I see it. It's like, wow, they will. I see it more now. Like, they will do what you do more so than what you say. I get that. I do. But also in these kids are smart.
Yes.
And we as a society need to stop treating them like they're dumb, stupid kids.
Right.
I don't care how they're behaving. They are smart. They see things. They know things. They hear things. They respond to things that you're doing. And the scary thing is, they won't tell you. They won't tell you, but they know. And they'll use it against you when you least expect it. And
Right.
you got to be careful. They are watching you.
I've had that experience with our own sons who I taught. Always find out your own information. Don't just believe things blindly. And then they come back and say, you told me not to just believe things blindly. I'm like, oh, except for me.
That's right. Don't. Well, see, and that's where, getting into that, it's like, I love the times I had with my mentor and how he taught me some things, find out who your boss is, find out what they want, give it to them. Stand up for what you believe in. Don't ever be soft. We need, when we're now, take that side of it, if you're the boss, because in this sense, I think people with that platform or whatever, where they're talking to a lot of people and have a lot of viewers, they're in a boss role. Well, okay, right now you have a responsibility. You need to make clear what you're saying to people. It has to be clear and it has to be sensible. If not, then you're confusing everyone. And those people that you're confusing may not know that they're being confused.
And that's the crux of and that brings us all full circle as we wrap up here.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much confusing information, and so many, especially young men, need guidance, and they need it from proper sources. And that's why I'm so happy that I have you talking on my channel, because you've been such a wonderful mentor to so many young men throughout the past 2 decades. And we need louder voices in our society that young men can listen to and be like, oh, There's a different way. It doesn't have to be fear and hate and anger and violence. There's another way to deal with life. Like you always say, deal with life on life's terms. I
Mhm.
don't even really know what that means, but that's beside the point.
That's a whole episode right
That's a
there.
whole, we'll talk about that next week.
Well, and
Uh,
there's another thing.
but
There's another thing before we go, because I love the there's there's a connection though, and there's a way that you have to get through to kid. I think society it's making it hard for me. You at some point you may have to get young people's attention because they're not going to allow it.
right.
They've got their wall up and they're doing their thing, and
Well,
it's like,
their attention has been sucked up by all these
that's
people who
because
are
we let them go do it.
right.
We
Yeah.
let them go take that stuff. But my thing is, you have to. I may need to get their attention, and I have been a vile person to some young men before, and how I spoke to them, how I treated them, but I had to get their attention. Their life depended on it. And now I see those young men are prospering in life. They're assets to life. They have their own families. They're good fathers. They're good husbands. And I think, you know what, as painful as it was to say and do some of the things I had to do to get their attention, it was worth it. But now the society's taking this out. You're going to hurt their feelings. You can't raise your voice at that young man. Don't you say that word to that young man. I'm not calling that young man a name. I'm saying stuff to get his attention. That's
Right.
all. And when I get his attention, then I can, with his help shape his life and put it in a more positive direction than that. I've thrown kids out of locker rooms. I've hoot and hollered at them, put them in tears, run them extra, kicked them off teams, done all kind, gone and visited with them outside of school and just had really gruff conversations with them. And then you see them moving in a better direction as they get older. And it's like, as hard as that was, it was worth it. It was tough on my own kids I had to be kind of tough with them a lot. And it was not fun. And it's the last thing I want to do. It's the thing I hate about being a dad. But if I hadn't, I look at them now and I'm like, oh, thank
Thank
God.
God.
Like they know I will kick their ass if they do something, but that now they know they will do it to themselves if they do that. So that's the beauty. See, now they discipline themselves. They're wonderful young men. I wouldn't want to piss them off though. That's the other thing I love about them. I don't want to make them mad because I know there's limits there. But at the same time, they're the most loving, heartfelt kids young men you'll ever meet. And it wasn't easy though, because you're fighting society and outside sources.
And that's a great wrapping up point. And I want to clarify, Coach Willett doesn't mean he harmed children. That is not what he meant when he said vile. So
no. I don't know.
He just has a tough way to talk to kids when they aren't listening. Sometimes you got to get that light bulb to go off, and sometimes it takes a little more drama to get the light bulb to go off.
I can explain that. What I do is I use my outside voice. The word vile, I honestly not even really sure what it means, but this is how I operate. It sounds like it would go in that sentence right there between those words. So it just went there. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what it means. I really don't know. But I would never know.
Well, people on the internet, they hear things and then they make drama. And I just wanted everybody to know he just
I can explain that. I talked to a high school, legendary high school coach one time. And I asked him, I was young coach. I was like, hey, there's this question that I ask. I've asked a lot of big time coaches. They can't really answer this question, or they have their own answer, which is good. Either way, some do, some don't. This guy said, I said, how do you,
you asked him what one word would you use?
No. I said, how do you get the attention of individual kids and then a collection of kids collectively as a group? How do you get their attention so that they will listen to what you're saying. And he yelled the F word at me.
Yeah, that's
And
the
I'm
that's
like,
the story I remember. I just
I
remember
go,
it different.
What?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, I don't get it either. But whenever I say that word, not calling anybody that name, don't
Yeah,
use
but
it
just use
towards
it in a
just
sense.
it's like you're yelling it out outside, you're shooting in the air,
Yeah.
and I'm like, really? He goes, every time I do that, everybody in the hub, they turn and
Yeah.
they're looking right at me. They hear everything I say. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to do that. I'm thinking this in my head, that's not, but sometimes kids, as a coach, kids will make you mad enough. You need to yell it at the ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you'll get their attention,
Yeah.
and then you can get through to them with some stuff. And talking to kids, like, yeah, actually over Christmas, I ran into two former players and we were talking about this very thing. And they said, yeah, like that definitely got our attention. We definitely knew, oh, we messed up.
He's
There's something
serious.
we need to do to improve. And now he's going to tell us what it is. So that was, and again, it's like, but nobody's trying to hurt anyone. I'm trying to help a young person. I'm trying to and sometimes you have to get their attention. I've had kids that I have to yell at all the time. And I'm like, why do I have to yell at you all the time?
Right.
And they say, I don't know, but it works. Keep doing it. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I don't want to do it, but I am prepared that I will do what I need to do to help you. So what is that? And if that is what that is, then I'm more than happy to do it. So
And
yeah,
that's
we buy in, we're all in, do your job, be the best you can, be aware and be mindful of your ego. Keep an eye on it at all times.
Coach Willett, it's been a wonderful conversation. Again, I look forward to next week's conversation. Thank you, everyone, for watching. All of the contact information will be in the show notes below. I'm just happy you're here.
Me too. Great to
All
see
right.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.